College is supposed to be a place for studying, new beginnings, and building a future. But between 2017 and 2019, several major North Carolina universities were hiding a secret behind the brick walls of their most prestigious fraternity houses. A secret that would lead to federal arrests, multi-state investigations, millions of dollars in illegal drug sales, and one of the largest campus drug rings ever uncovered in the United States. This is the story of how the DEA took down a sprawling, highly organized drug distribution network operating out of UNC Chapel Hill, Duke University, and Appalachian State. This is the college drug ring, fraternities, cash apps, and the DEA. At UNC Chapel Hill, life looked normal on the surface. Students rushed to class, hung out on campus lawns, and packed sports stadiums. But behind the scenes, certain fraternity houses, Phi Gamma Delta, Kappa Sigma, and Beta Theta Pi, were quietly serving as distribution hubs for illegal drugs. And we're not talking about a few grams here and there. Inside these houses, large quantities of marijuana, cocaine, LSD, Xanax, and even steroids were being sold. Some brothers didn't just use drugs. They ran a full-blown business. The operation began with a supplier based in California. He had access to product and connections to ship across the country. A UNC student saw opportunity. His fraternity already had demand, and he knew how profitable college drug culture could be. The supplier started shipping vacuum-sealed packages, hidden inside electronics boxes, clothing shipments, and everyday items. These boxes arrived directly at fraternity houses, safe from suspicion because frat houses receive mail constantly. What began as a side hustle soon grew into a pipeline, a steady flow of illegal products from California to North Carolina. Dozens of packages a month, each one feeding the growing market on campus. The students involved thought they were untouchable. They had loyal customers, safe delivery points, and easy ways to collect money. But while they were celebrating this small criminal empire, someone else had already noticed something strange. A U.S. postal inspector in North Carolina was seeing too many packages coming from the same California city, all addressed to fraternity houses. Some smelled off. Others were suspiciously heavy. And that was the moment the entire operation started to crack. The DEA was notified. Surveillance began. Undercover agents moved in. And the students who thought they were just running a business were now on the radar of federal investigators. Once the DEA started digging, they realized the network was much larger than it first appeared. By 2018, the ring had evolved from students selling weed into a highly organized and structured criminal system. The business was moving massive quantities. Over 2,500 pounds of marijuana, more than 100 kilograms of cocaine, sheets of LSD, hundreds of Xanax bars, and additional pharmaceuticals and steroids. The buyers? Students, athletes, fraternity brothers, partygoers, even people outside campus. Money flowed constantly. Most payments moved through Cash App, Venmo, then Apple Pay, and unmarked cash envelopes. Because fraternities were social hubs, dealers had instant customer access. Parties became marketplaces. Bathrooms turned into quick sale spots. Dealers used coded language and group chats to move product efficiently. The UNC dealers handled distribution like businessmen, keeping written ledgers, managing supply, and reinvesting profits. Some made thousands per week. But the operation didn't stay contained. Soon, students from Duke University and Appalachian State got involved. They bought in bulk from UNC dealers, then transported drugs back to their own campuses. Long drives across North Carolina became routine, with pounds of marijuana and bags of cocaine hidden in trunks or backpacks. By mid-2018, the entire system resembled a cartel-style pipeline. One California supplier, East Coast distributors at UNC, mid-level sellers at Duke and App State, dozens of campus resellers, hundreds of consistent buyers. The dealers felt secure. They operated in familiar environments, surrounded by friends, blending into normal student life. But every transaction, every package, every electronic payment left a digital footprint. And the DEA was quietly collecting them all. Agents tracked postal shipments, monitored phone calls, and traced payment records. They built a clear map of the ring's structure, leadership, and daily operations. Little did the students know, the DEA was preparing for a takedown. As evidence mounted, DEA agents increased surveillance. They watched from cars parked near frat houses. They followed suspicious vehicles. They monitored dorm entrances and apartment complexes. Soon, they noticed a major pattern. The network wasn't staying at UNC. It extended across multiple campuses. At Duke University, dealers were running their own distribution off what they purchased from UNC contacts. Quiet dorm rooms became meeting spots for transactions. Some students stored product in off-campus apartments to avoid campus police. At Appalachian State, the business exploded even faster. Students there were buying in bulk, breaking down the product, and reselling it throughout Boone. Some App State dealers were making enough money to pay rent, tuition, and more, purely from sales. Agents began conducting controlled buys. Undercover officers purchased cocaine and marijuana from fraternity members. Every successful buy strengthened the case. They also traced Cash App transactions, which linked specific payments directly to known dealers. Chat logs and text messages revealed conversations about quantities, pricing, and upcoming shipments. The DEA now had shipment data, payment records, undercover purchase evidence, text message communications, surveillance photos, and witness statements. The case was airtight. Finally, in late 2019, federal officials decided it was time. A coordinated operation was planned. Raids across 3 different campuses, all happening at once. The goal: shut down one of the biggest student-run drug networks ever seen. Early one morning, DEA agents, local police, and K-9 units executed simultaneous raids at UNC, Duke, and App State. Fraternity houses were surrounded. Doors were forced open. Students were taken out in handcuffs while still half asleep. Inside those houses, agents found everything they expected, and more. They seized stacks of cash, digital scales, ledgers with names and amounts, the vacuum-sealed bags, pills and powders packaged for sale, shipping labels linked to the California supplier, phones containing months of incriminating messages. In total, 21 people were federally charged, with many more listed in supporting documents. The main California supplier was arrested. Key UNC distributors were taken down. Duke and App State mid-level dealers were caught, and the fraternities involved faced immediate suspension or removal from campus. Administrators were shocked. Parents demanded answers. Students debated the situation online, some in disbelief, others admitting they had seen signs for years. The DEA later stated this was one of the largest campus-based drug rings ever dismantled, and the universities were left to deal with the fallout. The aftermath reshaped campus culture in North Carolina. Fraternities involved faced severe penalties, suspensions, expulsions, and permanent removal from campus housing. Some members were banned from leadership roles or Greek life entirely. Students charged received a range of consequences: federal prison sentences, probation, mandatory drug treatment, university expulsions, or long-term academic discipline. The scandal ignited national conversations. How could something this big go unnoticed? Why didn't universities detect the warning signs earlier? Could this happen at other schools? Many pointed to the culture around fraternities: easy access to money, large social networks, constant demand, and minimal oversight. Combined, they created the perfect environment for an underground operation. But the biggest lesson was this: criminal networks don't always look like gang hideouts or cartel compounds. Sometimes they look like students living in million-dollar fraternity houses. Technology played a major role too. Cash App, Venmo, encrypted chats. They made it easier than ever for students to act like professional dealers without realizing how much evidence they were leaving behind. In the end, the case served as a wake-up call. Universities nationwide began reviewing policies, increasing monitoring, and strengthening relationships with law enforcement. This story is a powerful reminder. The most unexpected crimes can happen in the most expected places. And sometimes, the biggest threats aren't from strangers, but from people living right next door. If you enjoyed this documentary-style breakdown, make sure to like, subscribe, and let me know which case you want next. Stay safe and stay aware.